According to wealthy people, you should be doing these five things if you want to be successful and wealthy. In today's episode, I am going to be sharing those five things with you. Over the weekend, I went to a real estate investing conference in Las Vegas, and the speakers there had some awesome tips. And I want to share like the five main things that I saw throughout their speeches. Pace Morby was there. He is a really great speaker, and he left me with a lot of things that I need to start doing. Now, some of the things I have implemented, but I'm just not consistent with them. But I am going to make sure that I am more consistent. So let's get started. The first tip is knowing yourself and what makes you tick. So this one comes from Pace Morby during his speech, and it was in response because someone asked, like, "Hey, how do I get started in real estate investing?" And one of the things he mentioned was how he gets that question all the time, but he has so many videos on how to get started if you're trying to Airbnb, long term rentals. For him is sub two. And it's kind of frustrating when he consistently gets that question asked over and over. And he realized that actually how to get started is not the barrier. The barrier is that a lot of people don't know what makes them tick, what makes them take action, because you can have so many videos, as he mentioned, and actually, I'm learning that as well as I put content out and all that. And, I get the question as well. And I'm like, well, I have a video here that tells you like kind of step by step. But the problem is that a lot of people don't know their personality. They don't know themselves. It doesn't mean like they're not motivated or anything like that, but they might be looking at the wrong thing, which is a barrier to themselves, and then they just don't get started. So he mentioned that you should really take a test that I'll link it down below because I am going to go take that test just to better learn myself so that when I go out and looking to take action on something, I understand how I think, how I work, and things that might be a barrier to me. Because if you don't know these things, then when you hit an obstacle or a barrier, you're not going to understand how to overcome that. So, for example, I know that I have a little bit of a harder time with hyper fixating on things. So, one of the things I do is now I set timers. So, I understand that about myself. So, some people don't know the things that they struggle with. So, that is what he was talking about, because you can't go and take action, or you're looking at the wrong things. For example, a lot of people want to like self manage, because I get it, they want to save that property management fee. But you need to understand, are you good with project management, like managing people, talking to them, making sure that they're paying on time? And if they're not, are you following the steps? So if you're not like an organized person, or you're not like a person that wants to handle those difficult situations. Like, I don't like conflict. So I know that about myself. So I am not going to go manage a property myself. Now, luckily, I have my husband that is really good at conflict resolution and talking to people and finding a win win. He's really good at negotiating. So, with this property that I'm closing on, I am thinking we're going to manage it, at least try it out for the first 6 months to a year, because we are a good team, because I'm pretty organized with the paperwork and all that. So I know that about myself. So basically, take the time to understand what you're good at, what skills do you have, what are your weaknesses, what are your strengths. And then once you understand that, it's going to be an easier time when you go and try to start investing in real estate, because again, we can put all the content out there, but if you don't know how to take action with it, catered to you, because I can only make general content. I can't make specific, like, hey, if you have ADHD, here's how you start real estate investing. If you're not good at math, so that's kind of your responsibility. So I really enjoyed that discussion, and it really opened my mind on how I want to put out content and how I'm going to interact with people now. So, again, I will try to find that and link it down below if you are interested in taking kind of like that personality test. I don't think it's free, but I'll try to see. But again, and it's not sponsored or anything, but if you don't want to use that one, maybe use a similar one. But apparently that one is a really good one to help you figure out kind of your personality and stuff. But even if not, just take some time to reflect. Again, write down your weaknesses and strengths and be honest, and then proceed from there. Number two is time management. Of course, here I talk about budgeting and tracking your money and seeing where it goes, because if you don't know where it goes, then it's just burning. It might as well set it on fire. And the same applies with your time. You've heard that phrase of time is money. And it's true, because if you're not tracking your time and managing it and understanding how to spend it wisely, then it's just, you're gonna like waste a lot of time. Now, depending on how busy you are or whatever, you can go down to like the minute. Similar, like with the budget, you can get down to the penny. But if you're kind of like better at managing your time, then you might just do like hour blocks or things like that. But the point is to understand where your time is going and planning out your days, and that, so that way you're using your time efficiently. Because I noticed that a lot of people are like, well, I don't have the time. And I have some family members that do that as well. And it's like, you actually do have a lot of time. The problem is that you mismanage that time. You end up scrolling on Instagram or on TikTok, and then next thing you know, it's been a few hours, and then now, oh, you gotta feed the animals, or you gotta do this or that. And I know I struggled with that a lot. And again, that's one thing, going back to the other tip, is like understanding that about yourself. Where for me, I like to get hyper fixated on things, especially if I start working on a task like editing the podcast or trying to create the podcast episode. I can be here all day, because the problem with me, I'll start with that. And then all of a sudden I think of another podcast idea. So then I'm like, oh, might as well put this down. Or, hey, might as well check my emails. Like, oh, shoot, I never updated this on the website. And then next thing you know, I'm here all freaking day on my computer. And then I realized that, you know what, I'm not spending time with my daughter. I'm stressing out, and I should have maybe started doing my taxes. That's around the corner. So I should be focusing my time on my bookkeeping, which I neglected because, again, of poor time management. So I did start kind of at least putting events and things in my calendar, and that's helped so much just in that. But one thing I want to get better at and start implementing and get that habit is blocking out times when I'm going to do something. So that's the goal for this week. I am going to block out my next few weeks and a lot time for when I'm going to work on my bookkeeping, when I'm going to do my homework. I have homework. I have to work on a speech and some other stuff. So do more time blocking. And this one was from Pace Morby, and some of the other speakers mentioned it as well. But he literally lives off of his calendar. Like every single of his time is accounted for. And he does that because he wants to ensure that he has leisure time and family time. For him and for me, my family is number one priority. I mean, that's the reason I'm doing all these things, so that way I could create income and retire my husband and provide for my daughter and all that stuff, right? So it's the same thing with him. So he wanted to make sure that he used his time more efficiently. And that brings me to tip number three, is delegating and creating systems. So not only time management, but creating systems with time management is part of that system. Creating a flow of how you do things is one of the things that I've been learning, and I am working on updating my Notion and all that. And with my podcast editor, I am working on creating a workflow, and we're still tweaking it and all that stuff. So, also the workflow for me of when I'm creating a podcast, when I'm recording this episode, all of that, just being more efficient and creating that system. But also, learning to delegate, that's part of that system as well. As I mentioned, now I hired an editor so that way my time, again, going back to the other one, is to use it more wisely. So creating these episodes is a priority to me. And so now I could create the system and delegate and then continue delegating what I can. So that way I have more time and I'm more efficient. And now I can focus on creating my content and also spending time with my family because, again, that's my priority. The next tip is learning how to use your energy wisely. Now, again, a lot of these kind of like go hand in hand with each other. So, obviously, this one kind of goes with delegating systems and time management. But the focus on this one was more on choosing who you spend that energy with. And as I mentioned earlier on, when he constantly gets the question, like, how do I start? He has learned to not use as much energy answering that type of question. And I'm talking about Pace Morby again, because most of these were him. But again, they were touched on by other speakers. But I really enjoyed how he explained all of these. So he mentioned because someone had asked, like, hey, I really want to get my junior personnel. This guy was military, and he was saying how, like, I am trying to get my junior people to get their finances together and to start investing in real estate, but he's met with a lot of resistance. And he basically said, like, you don't want to waste your energy. And I know it kind of sounds harsh, but again, we are kind of limited in our time. This goes hand in hand with managing your time and all of that because you cannot force someone to do something, right? Like, and I am having to learn that because I am creating this content. And initially, because of course, I want to help my community and I want them to succeed and all that. But I am realizing that I cannot help everyone. Right. At some point, they have to have that responsibility as well. And it doesn't mean, again, that they're not motivated or they don't want to, but they're just maybe not there yet. And me trying to drag them by the hair or whatever and force them to do it, all it's going to do is going to make them feel bad and it's going to have them resent me. And my message is going to get lost because, yeah, they might not be ready now, but maybe in the future, maybe they were focused on paying out debt or whatever. Later on, maybe now they're ready and now they're more open to my message and my content, I guess. So it would be kind of like a waste of that energy if I am focused on trying to like drag them to this side and into the real estate or wealth building game. My time and my energy is better used on someone that is more ready now. Because again, it's just me. I don't have a team. I'm like slowly starting to build that team, but I can't help everyone. It's just me. So I want to focus, or I should start focusing on just those that are ready now and I could help them now. So understanding how to use that energy, and that goes with everything. We all have like family members or friends that you'll see them, maybe they're in a bad relationship or they're in a overspending or whatever. And you're like, girl, just leave them, or hey, pay off your debt or whatever. Again, that energy is better spent on focusing on yourself, and then when they're ready, they're ready. Otherwise they're just going to resent you and that relationship is going to struggle. So that was kind of like an eye opener for me because it did make me feel bad, like, oh yeah, you're right, like I can't help these people, but I do want to help them, but I just don't have the capacity to help in someone that's not ready to be helped. So I rather now focus my energy on helping someone that is ready to go. And the last tip is my favorite. It is that having the idea that life is basically an algorithm. It's going to give you what you interact with. And this one came from Pace Morby as well. And I really resonated with that. It's kind of like the similar, I mean, it's basically, manifestation and all that. because manifestation is kind of like a lot of like mental work, right? Like you're just putting it out there, but you also start need to take action and put yourself in these situations so that, life gives it back to you. So, for example, if you want to, in my case, invest in real estate, like, yeah, I could, look it up on YouTube. But if I, in my life, am not going out to like maybe workshops, local workshops, or online even, or like networking events and things like that, then I can expect that that's going to be given to me because I'm not out there looking for it. And that's what happened with kind of like this conference with like, I was like, man, I really want to meet more real estate investors, especially minority women real estate investors, because again, we're the minority in this field. And so I had a friend that invited me to this conference. And matter of fact, it's Lindsay from our other podcast. If you didn't know, I have a podcast specifically for real estate investing. It's Real Estate Jefas, and she's my co-host. And she invited me to this conference, and I was hesitant because I was like, I don't know. And then she convinced me because I was like, you know what? Yeah, I do need to go to these events because I'm over here complaining that I am not meeting other real estate investing women. And so I went and I had such a blast. I met so many people, not just women, but just in general, a lot of regular people that are out here investing. And I felt like finally, right? And it's because I'm starting to interact. Like I can't expect to be here in my house expecting to meet these type of people. And so that's basically what he kind of was getting at. Is like you also have to go put yourself there so that way it comes back to you. And so I ended up meeting some awesome ladies, minorities, in their beginning journeys or middle of the journey in their real estate investments. Yeah, so I was super excited about that. So I'm going to ensure that I'm going to more events, and not just real estate investing, but just in general, like finance ones. I definitely want to go to some finance conferences. I also want to reach out, and because one of the other things is now that I moved here, like I don't have no friends, no local friends, and I want to go have some girl time. I want to find somebody, like go have some tea, go get our nails done. So I'm going to look and start going to events and see if I meet some other women there that I could hang out with. So that's basically just what it is. Like you have to also put yourself out there. You can't just think that like, okay, me reading a book, me looking up on YouTube, that's all I need. It's going to come to me, or just manifestation. Like manifestation works, but also you got to do some action as well and put yourself for it to work. Like it's not going to work if you're just in your house, right? So that was pretty impactful. All of these were pretty impactful, and hopefully they're impactful to you and you start implementing these. And yeah, I just wanted to share those with you. Let me know in the comments or like hit me up on Instagram which one really resonated with you and which one are you going to start implementing. I mean, I suggest you implement it, but some of these might not apply to you. For example, systems and delegation, you might not, like I'm a podcaster and real estate investor, so I need that more. But that could mean like hiring a babysitter, hiring someone to clean your house, or someone to meal prep. Like, that's going to free up some time for you to pursue whatever it is you want to go do, right? So that means that as well. Again, let me know. Check the show notes and the description if you're watching this on YouTube for other information. And again, I'm going to try to find that personality test down below. I think he had mentioned it was like $59 or something like that. So if not, again, there's some free ones out there, but he did say that he kind of liked this one based off all the other ones. So let me know down below your thoughts, which one you're going to implement, what you thought about these 5 things. Other than that, I will see you in the next episode. Bye.